are you scared yet? Because that is what they are trying to do. They needed this conviction. They wanted this conviction so that they could say, he is a convicted felon. There you go. You can't possibly vote for the guy. It's game over. Except I don't think it is. I really don't, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch Jeanine Pirro reacting to this. Apparently she's pretty fired up. So I hear.
I think that the American people will be struck by this, as we are all struck by it, in different ways. I, as a former prosecutor and a judge who knows the state courts and who knows the state law, I know that this is riddled with reversible error. I know that there was no basis to charge this crime, this alleged crime, and to resurrect dead misdemeanors based upon non-unanimous federal violations of the election law or of the tax law. So, I mean, you've got that, but there's also a gut punch to the criminal justice system in the United States. People realize we are no longer safe anymore, and it's because of the progressive left agenda of making sure that we don't keep people in jail. And, you know, they're out there with 33 arrests, but, you know, they're still assaulting people or violently attacking people down the street here. But now we've got one of the most famous individuals in the world, a former president of the United States, who can be taken down by a George Soros-funded prosecutor on a crime that doesn't exist, where not one person put his finger anywhere near that bookkeeping, and now they're going to return a verdict and say, oh, he's guilty, he's definitely guilty. This is a jury pool made out of 85 to 90% of the people are anti-Trump, not pro-anybody, anti-Trump. That's the jury pool. We knew it. We have a judge who wasn't picked out of the wheel or out of the drum, as all of us judges are. And he was a judge who was selected not just for the Trump organization, not just for the this case, but also for the another case that involves the who was the guy who was the Bannon case as well. This is an anti-Trump judge, an anti-Trump prosecutor. America is going to respond to this. This is a gut punch. We want to see politicians fight. We don't want to see what they do in third world countries, to have one side start indicting and jailing the other side. This is not American. This is not who we are. And to see this happen before our eyes, when we know that this is not legitimate, when a defendant was not advised of the crimes that he was charged with. They don't even know what the crimes are until we get to the charge to the jury, as if the prosecution and the judge, with a wink and a nod, said, hey, I'll give you that old accomplice testimony. Even though we didn't charge Donald Trump with aiding and abetting anyone else, I'll throw it in as a matter of law. He's an accomplice. And I'll throw in those federal election violations. So they'll have to say, yeah, Donald Trump must have done it too. And I'll throw in a hooker and a guy who's a serial perjurer. This is lunacy. And I think that any red-blooded American who sees this is going to understand this isn't what we do to our political enemies. This is what they do in kangaroo courts and third world countries. God help America after what I've seen in the last few weeks.
Wow. A really, really passionate sort of speech there from Judge Jeanine Pirro, really nice lady who I used to work with there at Fox. I mean, this is crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Let me see if I can get back to, see if I can get back to this shot right here. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties, but again, just an insane day. If you would, guys, I'm looking at all of your comments here in real time, and you clearly are pretty passionate about this. And it sounds like, you know, there's some agreement here. There's agreement that this is crazy. This is kind of crazy. I agree with Judge Jeanine in that this is not, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America we know and love. We have a legal system that really should at least require, I'm going bare bones, okay? Just require a crime, like an actual crime. You can't just say, take your pick. Like, it could be any of the above. I mean, we don't even know what he's actually been convicted of. Just a felony, but it's weird. I mean, this is really, really weird. And I think all the legal scholars are saying the exact same thing. Like, if you don't really have a crime, what is it? Okay, so it gets thrown out on appeal. MSNBC doesn't want you to think about that appeal. They don't even want to go there. Why? Because it's all about saying it's Joe Biden versus a convicted felon. That's what this was all about. Don't forget it, not for 2 seconds. The timing of it is all so deliberate. I mean, this is the real, this is the real election interference. When they staged it out, and now July 11th, we just learned, is the sentencing day, just a few days before the GOP convention. I don't think this changes a lot of people that actually intended to vote. I don't think it changes their view, people that were going to vote for Donald Trump. And in fact, I think it has the opposite effect of actually encouraging a lot of people who might have been on the sidelines to think differently. I mean, my gosh. Like, here, let me go to Marie, who says exactly what I effectively just said, which is that she's still voting for him. I'm looking again at all of your commentary here in real time. And Debbie, you're right. Vote, 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 vote. It is so important to vote. Dave saying, I can't actually say what I want to here. I get it, my friend. I get it. Look, Judge Jeanine was absolutely right. I think that, when you listen to Turley, it's a little less passionate, obviously, but he's the academic scholar on this. And I hear him on that too. And that he's saying, you've got to actually look at what's going to happen now at the next level. This country has been in a cold war with itself for 8 years, that little voice writes. And I hear you. I mean, it's like, it's just something's brewing. People are very angry. It's one side versus the other. The thing, though, I will say is that the right isn't actually like that. I think this is, people on the right are actually really kind of accepting and deferential. And we're very cautious about the company we keep and what we say within that company. It's not like we're shouting from the rooftops all the time. It's just that if you're quote unquote found out, this is why I actually think Trump is further ahead in the polls than what we see. If you're found out, right, to be a Trump supporter, then you run this risk of being shunned. And that is certainly one of the problems with this moment in time. Certainly. I mean, as I said, one of the tweets was pointing out that the Trump donation site just crashed. So what are people doing? They're rallying around him in a time like this, and you're actually seeing little donations pour in. So I don't know what Biden's really thinking. They wanted to be able to say he was a convicted felon. Okay, they're going to get that. They're not going to be able to appeal this in enough time to affect the election. That's one of the reasons why the timing happened the way it did, right? Like, consider it. They had 3 years to do this. If it was a felony, for goodness sakes, why did they sit on it for so long? I see all of you writing, gosh, this is kind of crazy. It's crazy because he's guilty of what? Right? Exactly. He's guilty of being Donald Trump. And, so many of you saying it's not going to affect your vote. David, you thought we had a legal system. So much for that legal system, right? This is going to be crazy. I think that this is going to be one of the most important elections of our generation. Again, we are on the front lines of history. You're right here with me. Make sure you subscribe. I don't have the subscribe button up, unfortunately. So I'm relying on you. If you're listening right now, make sure that you hit the subscribe. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you comment.